AI never sleeps, and this week has been absolutely insane. We have not one but two new image editors just like Nanobananas. Samsung dropped a tiny model that's like 10,000 times smaller than DeepSeek or Gemini 2.5 Pro, but it even beats them in challenging reasoning tasks. OpenAI just held their Dev Day event with a ton of updates. You can now use apps right inside ChatGPT. Plus, they also released this AgentKit, which is like an n8n or Zapier competitor. This is a really intuitive workflow builder for agents. But did you know that Google also has a similar workflow builder where you can easily build AI-powered apps, and it's completely free to use. This AI can turn a scientific paper into a full narrated presentation video. We have a new AI that can combine different characters or different styles in the same video, much like Sora 2. Grok releases a new video model with sound. We have a ton of humanoid robot demos and a lot more. So let's jump right in. Thanks to HubSpot for sponsoring this video. Now, this week, OpenAI just held their Dev Day event with some exciting new updates. So here are all the highlights. First of all, they introduced apps in ChatGPT. So as you can see from this video, you can now call and interact with apps directly in the ChatGPT interface. So this includes apps like Canva or Spotify or Zillow. So for example, here, if you want ChatGPT to create you a custom playlist, well, you can actually call Spotify to then create the custom playlist for you. Or you can call Zillow to find you homes for sale in a certain area, as you can see here. Or here's one of my favorite examples. You can even upload a document and then call Canva to turn that document into an actual deck. And Canva will automatically create a deck for you right in the ChatGPT interface. Or here, you can easily pull up Expedia to find you hotels or flights based on your budget. The awesome thing is, apps will already be available today even for free users, as long as you're outside the EU or the rest of these countries. Now, if you are in the EU, then here they say they expect to bring apps to EU users soon, whatever that means. Now, in addition to apps in ChatGPT, they've also released this Apps SDK. This is a tool for developers to build similar apps. So this SDK is built on MCP, which enables developers to create apps with custom interfaces and logic, which AI models can then interact with. So basically, developers can use this platform to create apps that can be embedded and called within the ChatGPT interface. And this has the potential to reach like over 800 million users that are using ChatGPT. So, when mobile first came out, those that were early in creating mobile apps monetized big time. And I think this might be another golden opportunity. If this apps thing does go big, then you'll get an advantage if you're early to this. Anyways, at the top here, if you click on Start Building Apps, they give you all the documentation and guidelines on how to get started in building these apps. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. In addition, OpenAI also launches AgentKit. So this is a set of tools that allows you to create workflows with AI agents and also easily integrate these workflows in existing products. So AgentKit includes this agent builder, which is basically a drag and drop interface that allows you to build workflows which can call agents to do certain things. So this is very much like Zapier or n8n. Now, there's a ton of AI influencers online that claim this is gonna kill n8n, but that's just hype. I don't think that's the case, and there are clear distinctions between this agent builder and n8n. So first of all, Agent Builder is mostly designed for creating workflows for AI agents. These are also called agent-centric workflows. And Agent Builder is also only focused on the OpenAI ecosystem, so you can only call agents from OpenAI, whereas n8n is open source, it's more flexible, and you can call a ton of other third-party services, and it offers the freedom to use different AI models. So anyways, that's Agent Builder, and then after you've built the agent, you can also use this other tool called ChatKit to basically embed your agent into your app or web. So Agent Builder is for building the logic of your agent, and then ChatKit is for actually deploying and displaying this in the front end. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main release page in the description below. Now, in addition, there are also several, I would think, relatively smaller updates that they've announced in Dev Day. For example, they also released API access to GPT-5 Pro, which is their most advanced reasoning model to date. Here are some benchmarks for your reference. So for GPT-5 Pro with Python, it completely saturates this competitive math benchmark. It also does really good in frontier math, which is quite a challenging benchmark for most language models. As you can see previously, they've only scored under 30%. Same with GPQA Diamond, so GPT-5 Pro has slightly better scientific knowledge. Anyways, they've now released API access, so developers can directly call GPT-5 Pro within their apps. But here's the crazy thing about this. Here it says the price per output token is $120. That's pretty insane. Whereas GPT-5 is only $10. So this is like 12 times more expensive for just marginal improvement in some cases. But anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this documentation page in the description below. Another thing that's available in the API now is Sora 2. You've probably heard of Sora 2 by now, but this is their revolutionary new video generator, which has extremely good world understanding. Like, it understands all the fictional characters out there, including their voices. From just a simple prompt, it can generate a scene complete with a scripted dialogue plus sound effects, and the video quality is amazing. Anyways, this week they've announced that Sora 2 is also accessible via API, so developers can also use Sora 2 in their apps. Now, in addition to Sora 2, they've also released Sora 2 Pro via the API, which can output 1080p resolution and up to 15 seconds of video. Notice that even Sora 2 Pro contains a watermark, so there's no way to remove the watermark for now. Anyways, all the instructions on how you can integrate Sora into your app are down here, so I'll link to this page in the description below. And then finally, they also released this GPT Realtime Mini, which is an even lower latency, cheaper version compared to the previous GPT Realtime Voice. And they claim that the quality of this is on par with the previous voice model. Anyways, if you're interested, I'll link to this page in the description below. And then they also released GPT Image 1 Mini. This is basically a smaller version of the GPT image model, which is more cost effective and it runs faster. Anyways, if you want to read further or try this in their playground, I'll link to this page in the description below. Next up, we have a new state-of-the-art image generator and editor. It's called Lumina Dimoo, and this can generate images with a text prompt, but you can also edit images with a text prompt, just like Nanobananas. So here are some examples. Here is the prompt below. We have 2 desserts garnished with diced mangoes, blueberries, and a drizzle of honey. It rests on a wooden board surrounded by fresh mint leaves and a bowl of honey, and then a bowl of fresh strawberries and a bunch of mint leaves are visible, and it followed this prompt perfectly. It's also great with generating text, so as you can see here, it's able to follow this prompt very well. Here's another tricky example with a lot of elements and text, but it's able to pull it off very nicely. Here's another tricky example where we don't just have a regular portrait, but her face is illuminated by slatted sunlight casting shadows on her face, and it's also able to generate this very well. And then here's a nice anime example for your reference. And then here are some image editing examples, much like Nanobananas. If on the left is your input photo, well, you can prompt it to add a bike to the scene, and here's what you get. Here's another example where we can turn this photo into a book illustration like this. Or here we can change the plain wall into a brick wall, and here's what we get. This can also take an input image plus a style reference photo and basically apply that style to the image, as you can see here. This kind of also has ControlNet built in, so you can upload this edge map on the left and get it to generate a photo from that. Or you can also upload a depth map like this and get it to generate a photo from that. Or even a pose skeleton like this. It's also great with inpainting. So let's say this is your input photo where this part is blanked out. Well, you can get it to fill in the blanks, and here's what you get. And here's an outpainting example. So let's say you have this image. Well, you can get it to expand the edges of this photo, and here is your result. Here are some other edge extension examples for your reference. So you can turn like this original square photo into a wide panoramic photo like this. And apparently if you compare Lumina Dimoo against all these other image generators and editors across all these different scores, notice that on average Lumina gets the highest score, which is in red. The awesome thing is if you scroll up to the top of the page, they've already released the models on Hugging Face, and then if you click on this GitHub repo and you scroll down a bit, this contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. Note that the total size of the models are around 17 gigabytes, so you could potentially use this with like 12 gigabytes with some CPU offloading. That's just my guess because they haven't explicitly mentioned the minimum VRAM requirements. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, we have a new tiny model called Apriel 1.5 15B Thinker, and this is tiny but super performant. Here are some highlights. In this independent leaderboard called Artificial Analysis, Apriel is all the way here with an intelligence score of 52, so it's as good as DeepSeek R1, and it even beats the latest version of Kimi K2 or even Claude 4.5 Sonnet, which is crazy. And that's because this is only 15 billion parameters. So it's like 1/10 the size or smaller than all these other models. And at 15 billion parameters, this means it can fit on most consumer-grade GPUs. And if you look at this chart, the y-axis is the performance or intelligence, and the x-axis is like how large the model is. So ideally, you would want a model that's in the upper left quadrant. And as you can see, Apriel 1.5 is over here. So this is not only very performant, but very efficient. Here's a pretty funny note. While we are not GPU poor, this is like a poor guy defensively saying he's not poor. But anyways, our lab in comparison has a tiny fraction of the compute available to Frontier Labs. Our goal is to show that a state-of-the-art model can be built with limited resources if you have the right data, design, and methodology. Really quickly, here are the technical details on how they trained this. So here it starts with this mid-training or continual pre-training stage. This is where the model is trained on a huge amount of diverse data, including math, coding, science problems, logical puzzles, and this helps the model build strong reasoning skills and makes it better at solving complex problems. And then next, it goes through this supervised fine-tuning stage where it's basically further refined using, here it says, over 2 million high-quality text samples, spanning additional math, science, coding, and conversational use cases. And this improves its text performance to match even the top reasoning models. The key thing to note here is that they did not even use reinforcement learning, which is what most other thinking models like DeepSeek used, but it's still able to achieve state-of-the-art performance. Anyways, the awesome thing about this is open source, and you can run this on most consumer-grade GPUs because it's only 15 billion parameters. On this Hugging Face page, it contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. So if you're interested in trying this out, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, here's a really useful AI. It's called Paper-to-Video, and like the name implies, this basically converts a scientific article into a full presentation video. But not only does it just create the slides, but you would also input your face plus your voice, and it would basically create a full video with you in a corner narrating the video. So here are some examples.
Welcome to my presentation on Paper-to-Video automatic video generation from Scientific Papers. This work is conducted at the Show Lab, National University of Singapore. My name is Ziyu Ju, presenting together with Kevin Ching Hong Lin and Mike Zhang Shou. The motivation arises because academic presentation videos are valuable, but producing them is highly labor intensive. The manual process is time consuming, requiring design, recording, and editing for every video. The key challenge is automating this multimodal, long context task without available benchmarks or metrics. We ask what defines a good academic presentation video, and can we generate such videos automatically from papers? Figure 1 summarizes paper topics, slides per video, and video lengths in Paper-to-Video benchmark. Paper-to-Video includes 101 research papers with author-created videos.
How crazy is that? This is a pretty cool tool. Or here's another example where we can upload this paper plus a photo of Geoffrey Hinton plus just a few seconds of his voice. Let me play this for you first.
Just having a few types of Lego block, we've got about 100,000 of them. And each Lego block isn't a rigid shape. The name of the word tells you roughly what shape it is.
And then here's the output presentation video.
This presentation introduces the forward algorithm and summarizes key investigations. The work is by Geoffrey Hinton, Google Brain. Presented September 18, 2025, we provide an overview of FF motivation, related work methodology, experiments, analysis, and prospects. Refer to the full paper for technical details. Backpropagation enabled deep learning, but remains biologically implausible and hard to pipeline. Reinforcement learning faces scalability issues in large networks. The core challenge is to develop a brain, plausible learning algorithm that avoids backpropagation. The forward algorithm performs 2 forward passes and uses local objectives for each layer. This removes the need for global error propagation and is hardware friendly.
Or you can also get Jensen Huang to explain this Sana paper.
Recent diffusion model advances enable high-quality text to image synthesis at large resolutions. Model sizes now scale into billions of parameters, adding pressure for efficient, affordable solutions. Our challenge is achieving high-quality, high-resolution, efficient image generation across device types.
So really quickly, here's how it works. It basically takes your inputs, which includes the paper plus the voice plus the photo, and then it first plugs the paper through this slide builder to create the presentation, and then it also has this subtitle builder component, which basically generates the transcript as well as the subtitles, and then the transcript is plugged into this audio generator to clone the person's voice plus get the avatar to actually speak out the transcript. We also have this cursor builder component, which basically synchronizes the subtitles with the narration. And then finally, we have the full output. So if you're in school or academia, you no longer need to manually create these presentations. You can just plug your paper through this AI and then go relax on a beach. The awesome thing is they've released everything already. So if you click on this GitHub repo and you scroll down a bit, this contains all the instructions on how to install and run this locally on your computer. Notice that here it says the minimum requirement is 48 gigabytes of VRAM, so keep that in mind. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, this AI is pretty cool. It's called Mimix, and it's kind of similar to Sora 2 in that you can mix and match different fictional characters in the same video. So for example, you can mix Mr. Bean inside a Tom and Jerry episode like this. Or you can also get Mr. Bean to interact with a realistic version of Ice Bear like this. Here are some other examples for your reference. Here's an even more impressive example where you can mix both 2D and realistic characters in the same video like this. Or here are some other examples. Now if you compare this Mimix with other video models, notice that it outperforms the other ones in terms of preserving the character's appearance. Now they have released a technical paper as well as a GitHub repo, but they haven't released the code for anything yet, and there's no indication whether they will do so or not. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Since OpenAI just launched AgentKit this week, this free resource called Master AI Agents in 2025, The Strategic Advantage by HubSpot Media will come in really handy. Inside, you'll find the AI Agents Unleashed playbook for 2025 success. This playbook goes over what are AI agents and how they work, plus it goes over many use cases for AI agents that actually drive value. This includes detailed applications in marketing, sales, and operations. Finally, it also goes over some common pitfalls and how to avoid them, such as over-automation and poor implementation. In addition to this playbook, you also get access to this How to Use AI Agents in 2025 checklist, which is a step-by-step guide on how to assess, implement, and integrate agents for your specific needs, as well as how to measure the results afterwards. You can access these resources completely for free using the link in the description below. This resource was made by HubSpot Media, the sponsor of this video. In other news, NVIDIA has created basically a nano banana. This is called ChronoEdit, and this is an AI that can edit images with just a text prompt. Here are some examples. Let's say you want to change this to a full side view. Here's what we get. Notice that it maintains the consistency of the character. Or we can take this sketch and generate a Japanese black and white anime style battle scene, and here's what we get. Or we can remove his glasses like this. Or let's get this girl to play guitar, and here's what we get. Or we can also input this photo and turn it into a professional portrait. Notice that it's really good at maintaining face consistency. Now, like Qwen Image Edit, this also seems to have some ControlNet abilities built in. So for example, we can upload this photo and get it to extract the edge map from this photo. It's pretty good. It also has pretty good world understanding, so we can get it to swirl the blue and yellow paint together, and here is what we get. The interesting thing about ChronoEdit is it actually applies the edit by reasoning through how it would play out over time. So for example, if we want to move the camera forward, here is actually how it thinks through the scene to generate the final output. Or if we want to draw a blue mask on the right person, here's how it would kind of think through the scene. Or if we want to change this guy's hairstyle, here is what it actually does step by step. Or again, going back to the previous example, if we turn this photo into a professional portrait, here's actually the process that it thinks through to generate the final output. The nice thing about ChronoEdit is that it can create results that faithfully follow physical consistency. And with this ability, this isn't just any image editor, but this can potentially be applied to creating synthetic data to train humanoid robots or autonomous driving. So for example, if the robot sees this, well, you can apply ChronoEdit to generate an image of it picking up a purple rag with the robotic arm, and this is what you get. Or we can get this arm to pick up the silver pot from the table. Or we can move the black sedan forward, and here's what we get. So this is also potentially useful for creating synthetic data to train autonomous driving. Or here's another example where we can make the white car in the front turn left. And here's what we get. Really quickly, here's how it works. It would take your reference image and then go through this temporal reasoning stage where it basically imagines a short video of how the edit should happen. And then afterwards it would go through this editing frame generation stage, which uses the tokens from the previous step to refine the edited image and make sure that it looks realistic and follows the laws of physics. Anyways, if you scroll up to the top of the page, it looks like they are planning to release the code for this, which is fantastic. Anyways, for now, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, Google DeepMind continues to release some super useful tools. So this week they've announced CodeMender, which is basically an AI agent that's designed to autonomously detect and fix vulnerable code. The thing is, these software vulnerabilities are really difficult and time-consuming to find and fix. But with this AI agent, it's able to find these new vulnerabilities way more efficiently, including these new zero-day vulnerabilities which no one knew about previously. And here's the impressive part. Over the past 6 months, CodeMender has already upstreamed 72 security fixes to open source projects, including projects that are as large as 4.5 million lines of code. Here's a quick demo on how it works. CodeMender first starts by analyzing the code to spot any vulnerabilities. It then proceeds to reason and write the fix or patch, and then it runs it through this validator, which basically validates the fix and ensures that it works and it doesn't break other features. And if the validation fails, then it self-corrects and tries again. And then after generating a ton of validations, these are then compiled into a patch review by a human, which if the patch is actually legit, the human will submit the edit to the code repository. Now, as of right now, they've only announced this. They haven't released CodeMender for everyone to use yet, and I could see where this could potentially go wrong. If we can create this agent that can autonomously, proactively find vulnerabilities, then instead of getting the agent to fix the code, a hacking team could also get that agent to actually exploit these vulnerabilities and hack sensitive stuff. So this is potentially quite a dangerous thing to release. But anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main announcement page in the description below. in humanoid robot news, we have several interesting demos. The first one is this new DRO2 robot from Deep Robotics, and they have a different value prop. You see, the thing with all the humanoid robots that I've shown you before is that they are electric powered. And one thing that can go horribly wrong with electric stuff is if water ever touches their sensitive electronic parts. So it's really hard for these robots to operate in rain or other wet conditions. Well, this new DRO2 robot is certified to be waterproof and dustproof. So this enables more reliable operation in outdoor and industrial conditions. This can work continuously in temperatures from minus 20 degrees to 55 degrees Celsius. And this can also work in rain, humidity, and dust. As you can probably tell from its face, this integrates a multi-sensor system including LiDAR, depth cameras, and wide-angle cameras to ensure object detection and path planning in complex environments. Apparently, this can climb stairs and slopes and carry loads up to 20 kilograms. Anyways, that's all we know for now. We just have this demo of water being poured on this robot, but that's another new contender in this humanoid robot race. In other news, the Figure 03 was unveiled this week. Now, Figure 03 was specifically designed with soft materials and multi-density foam protection so that it can work safely in home environments. Now, from their demo video, this does look very sleek. Now, instead of previous Figure demos which showed the robot working in industrial settings, here they show the Figure 3 robot working inside this house. So it's walking around, it's serving people with cups of water, and they also show it doing a ton of household chores here like cleaning. It can autonomously detect and manipulate different objects of various sizes and shapes, as you can see here. Now note that this is a carefully planned and staged demo, so there are hard cuts between scenes. This is not a continuous shot, but it seems to be able to also like pick up this cup and plates. Again, here's another hard cut, so I'm not sure if it can actually do the full action continuously, but then now it's proceeding to wash the dishes. It's not too impressive to me. Like, I would like to see it actually pick up a scrubber and actually scrub the dish instead of just rinsing it. And then here it's placing everything in a dishwasher. Not gonna lie, I would love to have a robot to help me do the dishes. And then after some other hard cuts, they're showing that it's able to load some clothes into this washing machine. And it seems like it's even able to load the detergent into the machine and then also press start. So that's pretty impressive. And then here it's able to fold clothes very well. It looks very human at doing so, by the way. And then in addition, it seems like this can also work as a receptionist or even do delivery. So, those are actually some pretty useful applications for a humanoid robot. Again, this is a very polished demo video. You can see everything is filmed very nicely. So I'm not sure if it can actually do all those things continuously and autonomously without any errors. But nevertheless, this is a good glimpse into what the near future could look like, where almost every household would have an affordable humanoid robot that can help you do the dishes or take out the trash or even take care of your kids. It's truly an exciting time to be alive. Next up, we have another new robot. This is called the Orca humanoid robot by Cyan Robotics, and they have a very different value proposition. Instead of showing the robot dancing or doing kung fu or doing the dishes, here they programmed the robot to have very expressive gaits or walking positions. I'm not sure why I would need this, but anyways, here's an example of a happy walking gait. As you can see here, the robot does look pretty happy as it walks around. And then here is a tired gait, and I must say the robot does look more tired. And then here is an angry gait. It even displays some angry eyes to match this. And then here we have a nervous gait. They even have a monkey king gait. Honestly, I think this is all just some marketing stunt. I'm really not sure why we need to have this feature. But anyways, that's just another humanoid robot that has just been announced. Next up, Alibaba releases yet another banger, and this one is actually pretty huge. So Alibaba has an AI team called Qwen, which has released a ton of state-of-the-art models, including Qwen 3 and Qwen VL. But did you know that Alibaba also has another branch called Ant Group, and Ant Group has a team called Inclusion AI, which has just released Ling 1 trillion. Now this is a huge model with 1 trillion total parameters, and then 15 billion active parameters. And this is a pretty big deal. So if you look at its math and reasoning performance across these different benchmarks, notice that it outperforms one of the leading open source models out there, DeepSeek 3.1 Terminus, as well as the latest version of Kimi K2, as well as GPT-5 and Gemini 2.5 Pro, at least the low-think version. It's especially good at ArcAGI, which kind of tests an AI model's ability to take in new data that it has never seen before and learn patterns from it. And then here is its coding performance across these different benchmarks, and again, on average, it outperforms the other open source and closed source competitors. Here's a chart showing its efficiency. So the y-axis is basically its performance or intelligence, and then the x-axis is the number of tokens used. So ideally, you would like to be in the upper left quadrant to be performant and efficient. And as you can see, Ling 1T is over here. And then here are some other benchmark scores for your reference. You can see that on average, Ling 1T has the highest score, which are highlighted in red, compared to other competitor models. The awesome thing is they've released everything on Hugging Face already, so here it contains the entire model for you to download, plus instructions on how you can use this. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Now, in addition to OpenAI's AgentKit, Google actually also has a workflow builder. Now, this is technically slightly different in that AgentKit is a workflow builder for agents, whereas Google's tool called Opal is a workflow builder for apps. As you can see from this demo, it's really easy to use. It's just a drag and drop interface with nodes where you can specify like each step of the app and how information flows through the app. And this week, they've expanded access to Opal to 15 more countries, including these countries. So if you're in one of them, then you can use Opal for free. So I'll link to this page in the description below, but if you scroll down, over here is where you can try Opal. All right, so let's click on Try Opal, and then let's create a new app from scratch. All we need to do is prompt it over here on what we want it to build. So let's write create a blog post generator where I enter a topic, and it would do research, generate relevant photos, and write a full blog. Let's press generate and see what that gives us. All right, and here's what we get. So here's what I love about Opal. From just a prompt, it automatically created this full workflow for me. Whereas for OpenAI's AgentKit, I still need to manually build out everything. Anyways, let's inspect this workflow. Here is where I would enter the blog topic. Then this would be linked to this conduct deep research node, which does the research. And then this would be connected to this generate blog post text. Notice that both this node and this node is linked to this one, as you can see down here. And then here we have a node to generate the prompt to be fed into the image generator. It even automatically gives me the prompt for this prompt generator. So here's the prompt. Notice how comprehensive this is. You are an expert visual storyteller tasked with generating highly detailed and descriptive image prompts for a Gen AI image generation API, etc., etc. You need to specify the number of images. I mean, this is a super detailed prompt. All right, and then the next step is it goes through Gemini 2.5 Flash, in other words, Nanobanana, to generate the image. But you can also select Imagine 4 instead. And then afterwards, notice that the instructions are fed from this previous node, as you can see down here. And then afterwards, it will generate a complete, well-formatted blog post. And then if you want, you can customize each node or add more nodes to this. So we have a user input node where you can specify an input. Let's get rid of this node. You can add a generate node where you can select from all of these Google models, including LLMs, image generators, even Veo, which generates video, or Lyra 2, which generates music, or Audio LM, which is like text to speech. And then we also have an output node, etc., etc. Let me get rid of all of these, and then let's just click start and see what that gives us. Alright, so first we need to enter a blog post. Let's write something like benefits of coffee. So that will be our input topic. And then you can see it's now moving on to the next node where it conducts deep research. And then now it's generating the blog text. And then now it's generating the prompts to be sent to Nanobanana. And then it's using Nanobanana to generate the image. And then it's compiling all this information together. And here's the blog that we get. Notice that you can also click on console to view the output for each step. So for the first step, when it did deep research, here is what it found with all the references. Then here is the blog text that it generates, plus here's the prompt that it generated to feed to Nanobanana, and then here are the 6 images which Nanobanana generated. Really cool. And also, if you click on this output, not only can you generate a web page from this, but you can also automatically save this to Google Docs, or even save this as a presentation, or save it into Google Sheets. So this is a super flexible tool, and it's currently free for you to use. Here are some other workflow ideas. You can get it to generate a personalized research report, or here's another workflow where you can plug in a YouTube video and it would basically analyze the video and create a quiz from the content. This is quite a fun tool for you to build these micro apps, so give this a try. It's completely free as of right now. If you're interested, I'll link to this main page in the description below. In other news, Grok releases Imagine version 0.9. This is another video generator with audio natively built in, much like Sora 2 and Veo 3. Now, it's not as good as the quality of Veo 3 or Sora 2, but it's completely free for you to use. So I'll link to this page in the description below. It's just grok.com/imagine. You can also use this in the Grok app. And then down here is where you would first type in a prompt to create a photo. So for example, let's get 2 Kung Fu masters fighting on a city rooftop, rain and lightning in the background. So it gives you a ton of images to choose from. As you can see, the quality isn't as good as like the leading image models out there, but let's go with this one. And then down here, I can click on make video. I can even choose from different levels over here. They even have a spicy level for potentially uncensored stuff. Let's just go with normal, and then you can see here it's proceeding to make the video. And the generation is pretty fast, so this only takes around 1 minute to generate a video. Alright, here's what we get. The quality isn't really that good compared to Sora or Veo, but this is another free option with audio built in. Now, instead of generating an image from scratch, I can also upload an image. So I'm going to upload Will Smith eating spaghetti. And then for the video, let's try custom this time. And then let's write, he is eating spaghetti and says, I can't get enough of this. Let's press run and see what that gives us.
I can't get enough of that.
Unfortunately, this is not that good, but just putting it out there, this is a free video generator that you can use right now. If you're interested, I'll link to Grok Imagine in the description below. Next up, we have a new model from Samsung, and this is called the Tiny Recursion model, and this is actually a huge deal. And that's because this model is only 7 million parameters, not even billion. However, it even scores higher on the ArcAGI 1 and ArcAGI 2 benchmarks compared to other leading state-of-the-art models like DeepSeek R1 or O3 Mini or Gemini 2.5 Pro, which is like tens of thousands of times bigger. So if you're not familiar with ArcAGI, these are basically a set of visual puzzles. So here's one example question where the AI is given 2 pairs of questions and answers, and then it needs to solve this final one. So here, of course, the answer is to fill in the corners so it forms complete squares. Now that's just ArcAGI 1, and then ArcAGI 2 is even more challenging. So here's a sample question. Now the point of this is to test an AI model's ability to learn and understand new patterns that it has never seen in its training data before. So for example, it needs to learn this visual puzzle and then be able to solve this. The thing is, most AI models, they don't actually learn new things after training. So historically, it's been really hard for even the top AI models to solve these ArcAGI benchmarks, as you can see over here. But notice that for this new TRM model, it scored even better than some of the state-of-the-art models, which are like tens of thousands of times larger. Here's another impressive thing. It's also able to solve mazes and Sudoku puzzles, which all of these state-of-the-art models could not solve. They all got 0%. But you can see that this TRM model, which is only 7 million parameters, was able to solve most of these puzzles. Now, this is quite a technical paper, but I'll try to explain how this works in really simple terms. Basically, instead of trying to solve a problem in one go, this TRM model solves it repeatedly by improving its answer step by step. It first starts with a guess at the solution, and then it goes through this tiny neural network to basically refine its answer many times, each time learning from its previous tries. So this is basically a recursive process, and the AI model improves its answer more and more as it loops through this architecture, and eventually it's able to actually let the model think deeply and reason better without actually requiring a huge neural network with billions or over a trillion parameters. Anyways, it's a pretty interesting concept for you technical folks out there, so if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this paper in the description below. And that sums up all the highlights in AI this week. Let me know in the comments what you think of all of this. Which piece of news was your favorite, and which tool are you most looking forward to trying out? As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.